Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to Cinema Nova's premiere of A Film With Me in It. My name's Paul Verhoeven. Without further ado, the star of tonight's film, Dylan Moran.
Hey. Okay.
First things first, tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this project. Had you worked with any of these people previously?
Mark Doherty, who wrote the film, was an old friend of mine. We had done shows together. Mark used to be a comic, and a very good one. His brother David is a comic now, and he's also a very good one. Mark jacked it in because he wanted to do other things. He wrote some plays. He does some acting himself, as you can see. He's rather good. And he wrote film scripts and so on, and wanted to do his own work and other comedy material he was writing for television. He told me, I have a script for you and me a few years ago, and it was in a bar somewhere, and I went, good. And so, you know, got the next round of drinks in, and that was it really, and then thought nothing of it. And then it arrived in the post. And the problem was that when a friend propositions you with a project, you just immediately think, what is the nicest possible way to say no? Because you have a relationship anyway, and you've no idea how good or bad the thing is going to be, but you're inclined to think it's going to need a lot of work. And this didn't. It was the first time it ever happened to me, where a friend said, you know, I want you to have a look at this thing. And it hung together so well, I knew very early on reading it that I would like to do it, and wanted to do it. And it was very clear, easy decision. And Ian Fitzgibbon, who directed, had also been an actor. He doesn't do it now, to my knowledge, anymore, but he's a very good actor as well. I had acted with him in another Irish film called The Actors, written by Conor McPherson and directed by him. And so he got a hold of this script from Mark and wanted to direct. And Parallel Films are a small company in Dublin, Alan Maloney and Susan Mullen, and they had it and they wanted to do it, and they just wanted to make it happen somehow, and that was it.
Accidental Murders were hilarious, but can you tell us of some other concepts that you threw away?
Well, I have to say, this is strictly an acting job for me. The story, the script, the plot, everything came from Mark. This is all very much Mark's world that you saw up there, and the flat is his flat. He moved out of that flat very shortly after we finished filming. I think, I mean, you know, if you've seen the film, you'll know that obviously there were a lot of things that were not top drawer about the flat. And he'd been there a long time. It's a flat on Raglan Road, which is a famous road in Dublin. And yeah, I think he was. That's why I said earlier on that it was a very Dublin, very evocative of Dublin. This film, it does capture something about the city. And the fact that people don't get around to fixing things, and they live with the ailing aspidistra and the window that threatens to take your arm off. And so no, it's all down to Mark, really. That.
There's an Irish wolfhound, and everybody else is Irish in the set of Dublin. Is there a political message?
No, but that's a very interesting statement or question, or whatever it might be. No, well, the only political statement you could read into it is that Ireland is actually has got itself together enough to make a small film. The political statement, God, no, it was an Irish movie and Irish actors were cheaper because they were nearer. David, who's Mark's brother, who's also in the film, plays his wheelchair-bound brother, who is, I believe, called Dave in the film. And Mark knew me, and Aisling O'Sullivan and Amy Huberman are the two women who feature in the film, who are also Irish and nearby, and at the end of a phone. So they, you know, it really comes down to economics, I suppose, not really politics. Either somebody I know or somebody who is very passionate about something and believes I should be involved says, do you want to do something? And the reason that people I don't know ask me is because they have their own ideas about me that have nothing to do with me. I don't. I've not been one of those people who appear in things who go around knocking on doors saying, "Please, can I be the villain or the man who chases the other man?" It really is a question of the phone ringing about 5 times every decade, and that is the extent of my involvement in the British, Irish, European, American, and indeed worldwide film industry. Television, to compare it to television, if you're involved in television, in my limited experience, it's because you wrote it, and therefore they have to cast you because you've said dishevelled, unappealing, grumpy man who looks like a blob in a corner suddenly roars into life, and then things happen. So yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the film industry, really. That's the truth.
What are the differences between stand-up and film? Because obviously in stand-up you get to write your own material and you get to adapt the material as the audiences react, but when film is kind of one's hand.
That's obviously, you know, directed towards me and to cater for the limits of my experience, because I've done a stand-up and a bit of filming, but they're not remotely comparable, actually. If you're talking to a bunch of people in a room, properly at a show, they are all at your mercy, and you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you're thinking about. If you're doing a film, you spend an entire half a day walking across the room to pick up a glass and say, "No, Felix," and then and be told then that you picked up the glass in the way that looked too angry, or you said Felix with a silent L, and there's no comparison. Well, I must say, people here really did seem to enjoy the Black Books, and no, I don't. I don't have any immediate plans for that. I don't. I find when I look at other people who are involved in making programs and films, and so on, I'm always astounded by the amount they do. You know, it takes. As I said, this film was only 20 days to shoot. There was obviously months of preparation and many months of editing and post-production to make the whole thing watchable. But you know, I'm not just talking about very, very famous movie stars and so on, but people who work in television, jobbing actors who are in film, or character actors who are in films, who are well respected and very good at what they do. They do an enormous amount. They go from one job to the next, and they really are running around in a forest, being Robin Hood or the Sheriff of Nottingham, and then going on to be a drugs baron or a record producer or an orderly in a dysfunctional hospital somewhere. They know, and that's proper graft. I couldn't do that. So for me, eons between things is absolutely the way to go. Decades should pass before you think, yes, I've got an idea, and then you sit down again and have another little think about it. There's no point rushing anything. The pace of these questions suits me very well.